Well, today we want to talk about the exhortation written by Pope Francis, just came out a few days ago. And so we'd like for you to please share this video with family, friends, neighbors, everyone. But what we want to talk about here, and this has been all over, I've been watching EWTN with Raymond Arroyo and, LifeSite News and everything. But what the whole issue is that you had the working papers. You had these working papers by the bishops in the Amazon declaring that they wanted married priests, they wanted female deacons, and a few other things, but those were the two main issues. Well, the Pope Francis, is supposed to then write an exhortation which is going to solidify this, give us an answer. Give us an answer as to whether or not this is going to become a reality or not. Now, I don't know about you, Bill, but married priests to me, that's a no-no. And then the whole thing with women priests or women deacons, I think that was settled with John Paul II, in 1998. So I really don't know where they're going to go with this whole Amazon thing. But the text is here, and it's a long document. It's 1,500 words, but he says nothing about married priests. He says nothing about women deacons. There's nothing, not a word in this entire document about that, but he does speak a lot about things like the environment. So I wanted to get your take on that.
Well, yeah, he does. He does speak about a lot about the environment, and I know that you're going to talk in future episodes about that part of it, Joe. But for right now, yes, the women priests, or I'm sorry, the married priests and the women deacons. He didn't say anything, but he did say something insofar as it's not open or closed. The door is very much open. The people, the cardinals at the presser, the head of the Holy See press office, they talked about his exhortation is magisterial. The final document is not. Oddly, though, Pope Francis points to the final document in his exhortation.
Right.
As you said, he won't cite it. He won't duplicate it or replace it, but he says, go read this.
Right.
So, I mean, you've sort of piggybacked
Yeah.
one document on top of another.
And that's pretty unusual, I would think.
Yeah.
Because what they did was the synod, the bishops and that, they wrote out their recommendations to the Pope. And that was the final, draft. And then the Pope was to read that, and then he's supposed to say, well, yeah, I'm going to agree with some of this. I'm going to disagree with some of it. It's a 1,500-word essay that doesn't answer any questions. So we're just kind of left up in the air. But that's not a good thing, in my opinion.
No, it's not a good thing, but that is the MO of this pontificate. This pontificate is nothing if not extremely shrewd and extremely good at playing the long game. And I think that the idea here is to give people an idea of what you're talking about, let them get used to it, and then tell them a little bit more and let them get used to it. So in 6 to 8 months, just like we saw with Amoris Laetitia, we will see more about this, but at that time, nobody's going to care because our emotions will have already been worked up, just like they are now. Everybody is, whether you're liberal or conservative, you're either happy or sad about this. And by then, everybody's emotional stuff will be spent, and they'll just slip it right in under the radar, and it'll be normal.
Yeah, I don't think that you do this whole synod with the Amazonian people just to brush it off. There's got to be a reason for it. The Germans wanted it in the worst way. The Pope wanted it as well. Of course, it's part of his country, but there's more to it. The whole women priests, well, I say priests, but deacons, priests would be right in line after that. The married priests, all of this. is kind of, there's a reason for this, and I think we know this. And whether the can is going to get kicked down the street a little bit further, maybe to the next synod, which I think is the Germans right now are having a synod, which is also trying to incorporate homosexuality, believe it or not, into civil marriages and the blessing of our Catholic faith on that. So we'll have to see where all of this goes. I guess my final word on all of this, though, is we follow Jesus Christ. And if you get a pope that wants to go off on the rails a little bit, or if the teachings of the church or in the end times, there's going to be some heresies or something developing, but we follow Christ. And we know what the truth is, and that's really our responsibility. We can't shrug that off.
Yeah, and well, there again, this is far from over. Some of the conservatives are declaring victory. To the conservatives, I say you had no victory. The Cardinals, some of the Cardinals themselves in the Vatican Presser have said nothing is off the table. Okay, so there is no victory. I don't quite understand why the liberals are throwing such a fit. Maybe they can't read Francis quite as well, but this is far from over. 6 to 8 months from now, something else is going to happen. And again, Joe, I know you're going to cover this in future episodes, but there is much more to this exhortation than just the priestly celibacy thing. There's a whole mess of environmental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Everybody watch, stay tuned.
Exactly. Stay tuned for that, because I think that there's more to this whole environmental talk than meets the eye. And we can look at it. We'll look at that in a future episode. But for right now, I just want to say good night and God bless, and may the Lord be with all of us. Have a good night.